Hello and welcome to the final round of the Thunderwood Racing SIM2RACE Championship, in which real drivers, including myself, are battling for real funding for real life motorsport once the season gets underway. So let's have a look at the current championship standings going into the final round then. Rob Dowsett has a 2-point lead, however each driver can drop their worst two scoring races, and that gives Rob a 4-point lead with a dropped race going into the final round then. So we have qualified on pole position for this one, and we need to make sure we finish ahead of Rob in both races if we can, if we stand any chance of winning the championship. So a decent start then, no traction control at all allowed in this series, so we have a bit of wheel spin, but we managed to keep it first going into turn one, keeping it on the inside, covering off any potential move by Rob then. Looking back, and you can see it's all over the back of us as we come out of the first two corners then, up into the S's. Very tricky to follow behind in the Group 3 cars with the dirty air that you get from the aerodynamics of these cars, of course. But we've got through here with no issues so far. So just the start we wanted, and now we need to make sure we get our head down and try not to make any errors on this opening lap, when Rob is going to have a chance to capitalise if we do make a mistake as we come through the first two Degners then. So to give you a quick rundown of how the championship has been so far, round one was in the Manchester Roadster touring car on comfort tyres, which was very interesting, and Rob managed to win both races there, the first race and the reverse grid race, despite us qualifying on pole position. We just didn't quite have the speed there. Round two was the wet race at the Red Bull Ring that we posted on our YouTube channel a week or two ago. We secured pole position there in the first race and won by quite a margin actually. And then in the reverse grid race we finished in second place behind Rob, who had a difficult first race in the BMW and had been able to get into first place very quickly, and we just couldn't do enough to catch him. Then last week was in the Alpine road car at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Once again we qualified in pole position and held off Rob, winning the first race by just a couple of tenths. And then in the second race, the reverse grid one, we managed to get up into first place after a very hard fought battle with Tino Schilling, but we made a mistake going into the hairpin with a lap or two to go, and Rob managed to sneak through and win that one. So going into the final round, it's going to be very close between the two of us. We've been neck and neck all season, and yeah, I just need to find an extra bit of pace here to make sure we get as many points as possible.
So you might notice I am filming from the replay. We forgot to record the footage from the race itself, and we forgot to save our own replay as well. So this is actually a replay from another member of the SIM2RACE group of drivers. So if it is a little bit jerky, I do apologise. It's the only footage we could get, unfortunately. But there is a live broadcast of each of the rounds of SIM2RACE, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to catch up on those, and they do include some fantastic commentary as well. So as we exit out of the final corner then to complete lap 2, we cross the line to set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:58.3, and a quick look behind, and we've built up a gap to Rob now, so he's definitely out of the slipstream, and riding on board with him now you can see just how big that gap has moved out to. So jumping forwards a bit further then onto the end of lap 5, the start of lap 6, and we're just going to ride on board with our fastest lap of the race. So there is of course 1 point on offer for each of the races for the fastest lap. So with how close the championship is, it's very important that we try to get both fastest laps in each race if possible, because if we get both of them, that's 2 points to us. But if Rob was to get one of them, then effectively it's 2 points back in the other way. So you know, if we're both on 10 points, for example, and I get both fastest laps, I'm on 12, Rob's on 10, and that's a 2 point difference. But if one of us gets one fastest lap and the other gets the other, then we'd both be on 11 points. So you can see just how important it is to try and get both fastest laps if we can. So coming through the first sector, then you can see we're purple, so that means we're up on our previous the previous fastest sector of the race. Getting a good exit out of the hairpin then, and using as much of the track as we can on the exit. The Supra, of course, you shift just before reaching the rev limiter, because that's where the most torque is, and you get the fastest acceleration shifting just a little bit earlier due to the way the BOP works in these cars. So early upshift as we come out of spoon then, and that just gives us the best possible run down the back straight as we head up towards 130R, which doesn't require any brakes but just a little bit of a lift, and try to keep as much speed as we can. We probably could take a bit more speed through there if possible, and then down into second gear for the final chicane. You can take a lot of curb through both of those without getting the track limit penalty, and then sticking to the right hand side right against the wall to shorten the distance to the line, and we cross the line with a
158.0. But looking back then, you can see we've now got a nice comfortable gap to Rob, and we're going to jump forwards onto the start of lap 8, which will be the final lap of the race. It's a 15-minute race and we don't have time to complete another lap before the timer runs out. So coming around the final corners then on the last lap of the race, and it's been quite a comfortable win. Nice big gap to the car behind, flash of the headlights to celebrate, and we take race 1. So full points from race 1 then, with the victory and the fastest lap. And now it's time to see if we can do the same in the reverse grid race. Obviously, with the dropped round involved with the championship, at this point I had absolutely no idea what I needed to do in order to win the championship in this race. So all we can do is go hell to leather and try to win this one as well, because we don't know if second place will be enough. So off the line then, a little bit of wheel spin, and we don't make up many positions. Well, in fact we make up no positions at all. Heading down into turn 1, we're going to be quite careful. We don't want to lose out and end up spinning and ruining the race on turn 1. So up the outside of Tino Schilling there, but the door kind of gets closed, not much we can do. As the race leader then, Nick Horn spins off in the Aston Martin, so that's 1 place gained, up to 11th then, as we head up through the S's, and you can see it's all getting very close. Rob taking to the grass a little bit to avoid someone there, and there's a bit of a concertina. The Aston Martin gets wide, we bump into the GTR of Tino Schilling up ahead, and crucially though, we have managed to get ahead of Rob as there's all kinds of chaos up ahead. We stick to the inside and somehow get through there without any drama at all. So up to 6th place then, so it's been an absolutely cracking start. But you can see just behind, Rob and Tino side by side going into the hairpin as we go round the inside of the Porsche there, which I believe might have been tapped from a car behind. And now there's 2 cars between us and Rob, which is very, very crucial for the championship. So we want to try and capitalise on this if we can. Some of the previous reverse grid races haven't worked out in our favour, so to get such a great start on lap 1, we really need to make the most of it as we catch up to the Aston Martin then of Jack ahead. I believe it's the GT1 DB9 Aston Martin rather than the GT3 Vantage. So very fast in a straight line, this car, but not quite as good through the corners. So it's going to be a hard car to overtake as he goes a little bit defensive up the inside into the final chicane. And you'll see just here, as we head on to the start-finish straight, the Aston Martin has a lot more speed over the Supra, so even though we're in the slipstream, we're not really gaining on him much. And even by the end of the straight, we're just not close enough to go for a move. But you can see just how much speed we're able to take through into turn 1 and 2. So we're going to have to be very clever if we want to get past this Aston Martin anytime soon. Heading up the hill then, and we can see 1st, 2nd and 3rd place are all very close. So This is looking very, very good for us at this moment. But we do have the Nissan GTR Tino Schilling behind us, and Tino is, or the GTR I should say, is very, very fast in a straight line as well. So we need to make sure we don't put ourselves in a position where we could get overtaken. Coming through Degner 1 and 2 then, and you can see the trio of cars up ahead. So we really need to clear this Aston Martin as quick as we can, so we can start chasing down the lead pack. But going into the hairpin, there's been some contact. So third place is off in the gravel. Second, the Porsche rejoins. We move to the outside, and we just managed to take that position. So now we're up into third place in a podium position, still behind the Aston Martin with Jack. But crucially again, race streamer Rob, there's two cars between us and him. So again, he's not going to be putting us under pressure anytime soon, as we just go into the back of the Aston Martin there a little bit, getting caught out with how much more speed we can take through the second part of Spoon there. So heading up in towards 130 yard, Jack is going to play a little bit defensive. We're going to move to the outside. We've just cleared the grass there, but fortunately we managed to keep control of the car. I was very, very nervous we were going to bin it then. And going into the chicane then, no opportunity to get past, but we are a little bit closer, heading on to the start-finish straight then this lap. And let's see if we can possibly make a move into turn 1. Jack moving to the inside, but we're going to follow him to try and get that slipstream as we head down into turn 1. We're not quite close enough to make a move. Jack covers off the inside very well then. But you can see race streamer Rob then, Rob Dowsett behind us, has made the move on Tino Schilling and gone up into 4th place behind us. So we no longer have any cars between us, and if we don't get past the Aston Martin soon, we will start to come under pressure from Rob and risk losing a place. So we need to try and get past this Aston Martin as soon as we can. As we come up the hill, we get quite a good exit over the Aston Martin there. We move to the inside, which will become the outside of the next corner, but we decide to back out. We get a little tap from behind for Rob. That pushes us slightly into Jack, and then the Josh in the RCZ there, binning it on the way out of on the exit of Stegner 2, and we've been gifted the lead of the race. Yeah, very, very fortunate to come through all that chaos and take the lead of the race. But crucially, we've also now got a massive gap to the car behind, who isn't Rob. So yeah, that's worked out very, very well for us, and now all we need to do is push on. So we're in first place. Unless we make a mistake, we should have this race victory sealed now, which is crucial for the championship. But of course, we're going to need to also make sure we set the fastest lap of the race, and now we're in clear air, we're going to have the best chance to do that. So if you're a regular follower of this channel, you might have noticed we've posted less races from the FIA races or the daily races on GT Sport over the last month or so, and that's because this competition has been the main focus. So obviously where there's prize money up for grabs, it just takes a priority over those FIA races. And of course it's not even the real season yet, it's the exhibition series. However, once this is over, we will be focusing on the FIA races and putting in a bit more practice on those, as we head up to the line then on lap 4 and cross the line with a 1:58.2, so a pretty decent lap there, and it is fastest lap of the race for now. But you can see that Rob Dowsett has got himself up into second place behind us. We do still have a really big gap over him though, so going into the final stage of this race, we shouldn't really come under pressure from P2 unless we make any mistakes, and we cross the line there to set another fastest lap of the race of 1:58.2. And at this point we just didn't want to make too many mistakes, so what we were doing is kind of pushing through the first half of the lap, but keeping an eye on the split back to Rob. And if we noticed that we were gaining on Rob, then we could kind of relax and back off a little bit, because we know that if we'd already made up time over that lap on Rob, he wasn't on the fastest lap himself. So that was kind of the strategy we were going for these last few laps, and it worked out quite well. And we come through the final corner then, heading up to the line to take maximum points, fastest lap race victory, so complete maximum points from this round, and we've crossed the line and Rob finishes in second place, but we still have no idea whether or not we've won the championship. So at this point we came out of the lobby, we jumped straight onto the live broadcast with the commentary, and even the commentators weren't too sure who had won the championship. They had to go to a break, and it was a tantalising, I don't know, 5-minute wait before they did all the maths, added up the scores, and we won the championship. Just 1 point in it in the end over Rob Dowsett, and it shows just how important it was to get both those fastest laps and get maximum points from today's race. So the prize we'll be getting as a result is £200 towards real life racing, as well as a media package which will include photography at events, and our first event will hopefully be at the end of April at Donington Park in round 1 of the Enduro KA series, which we should be battling up the front as we were last season, towards the end of last season as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get some footage as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and feel free to subscribe, and if you've got any questions about maybe real life racing, anything like that, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.